Students, I'm Lata Bhattu, Faculty of Applied Microbiology, Infection and Pathogen Control. Today, in this class, we will cover few topics about microbiology. They are Introduction to Microbiology, Importance and Relevance of Microbiology in Nursing. We will also discuss about history of microbiology, and also we will study a few concepts and terms which are very important in the area of microbiology. Starting with the introduction of microbiology, the term microbiology is derived from the Greek terms micros means small, bios means life, study. Ology means study of science, study or science. So, microbiology, the definition of microbiology is study of living organisms which are microscopic in nature. The organisms which we are not able to see them with our naked eye, but which are visible by using a microscope only. So, microbiology helps in identification of these microorganisms, also helps in understanding and characterizing these microorganisms which are seen only through a microscope. Based upon their cellular organization, microorganisms can be unicellular, multicellular or acellular. Unicellular microorganisms are those which contain single cell. That means, for example, bacteria, they are free living, they have only one cell, and multicellular or microorganisms are those which contains multiple cells. For example, yeast and fungi. They have multiple cells divided with a septum in between, and these are multicellular in their organization. And there are also microorganisms which are acellular. That means they do not contain any proper cellular structure or cellular composition. For example, viruses. Viruses do not contain any cellular composition like cytoplasm or specific nucleus, etc. So, these are acellular in cellular organization. Viruses I am talking about. Majorly, organisms are divided into two groups. They are prokaryotic organisms and eukaryotic organisms. Prokaryotic organisms are those which do not have a specific nucleus or nuclear membrane, or which do not have a cell membrane bound cellular organelles. Eukaryotic organisms are those which contains a specific nucleus bound by a nuclear membrane, and also they contain all the cellular organelles which are present in the cytoplasm, and these organelles are bound by the cellular membranes. So, there are also microorganisms which are both eukaryotic microorganisms and prokaryotic microorganisms. Examples of prokaryotic microorganisms are bacteria and cyanobacteria. They are freely floating organisms, or they live even in groups, but they do not contain any specific nucleus, or they do not have nuclear membrane or cell organelles. But eukaryotic microorganisms, like for example fungi and yeast, have specific nucleus with nuclear membrane, and also they contain specific cell organelles like mitochondria, vacuoles, etc. So, microbiology deals with study of different microorganisms. As I told you, examples are fungi, yeast, bacteria, cyanobacteria, which are either useful or harmful to the animals, plants and human beings. Some of the microorganisms are useful extensively, and they are used for preparation of different drugs or food materials. They are used in preparation of different things, but harmful microorganisms are our focus. We will study about the microorganisms which are harmful for plants, animals and human beings, especially the microorganisms which cause diseases in the human beings. There are different types of studies which are included in the microbiology. They are bacteriology, which deals with the study of bacteria; virology, which deals with the study of viruses; parasitology, which deals with the parasites, study of parasites; and mycology, which deals with the study of fungi. This is the brief introduction of microbiology. There is a subject called as medical microbiology, which is a branch of biology which deals with the microorganisms which are harmful to human beings, which are actually pathogenic to human beings. The next topic is importance and relevance of microbiology to nursing. Why nurses should know about microbiology? Why they should understand what is the subject of microbiology? Because nurses live in the area, or they work in the places which are prone to microorganisms. Means the huge number of microorganisms are present in the area where they work, isn't it? Hospitals are the hub of microorganisms. Different types of patients come there and they get treatment there, and they also leave the microorganisms there which can infect the nurses and also the coming patients or the other people who even visit the hospital area. So, nurses should have the knowledge of microbiology to deal with such type of microorganisms which are generally pathogenic to human beings. So, understanding the importance of microbiology, for nurses is very important. The major point for nurses to understand the subject of microbiology is to understand the microorganisms, whether they are useful or harmful to human beings. To understand different kinds of microorganisms, different groups of microorganisms, in order to understand what kind of diseases they cause to the human beings. So, microorganisms are responsible for disease causing in humans, and nurses has to understand this process. The other important thing of microbiology which nurses should understand and know is how to grow these microorganisms. In order to identify them, in order to identify the microorganisms, what type, what group they belong, and how they do their physiological functions and activities which are related to their pathogenic nature, all these aspects should be understood by a nurse. So, to grow the microorganisms, a growth medium is required. Nurses should have knowledge about growth medium which is helpful for growing of these microorganisms in lab. After growing of the microorganisms, there are different techniques and procedures which helps in identification of these microorganisms. Morphological understanding of a microorganism, then the biochemical understanding or biochemical characteristics and physiological characteristics of a microorganism should be understood by a nurse. This will happen only if the nurse gains the knowledge about the microbiology. There are also different staining techniques which nurses should understand, which are helpful in proper identification of microorganisms which are pathogenic to human beings. Nurses should also understand and have knowledge about microbiology to apply it in the hospital area where they are dealing with the infectious patients. So, microorganisms which are related to the infectious diseases should be understood by the nurses. These infectious diseases spread from one person to another person. Nurses play an important role in cutting down this transmission of infectious diseases, especially in the hospital area. They will ask the patient to cover themselves or take precautionary measures in order not to spread these diseases to themselves and also to other patients. While taking care of the infectious disease having patients, nurses should take care of themselves also, taking precautionary measures like wearing gloves or covering themselves with masks or using sanitizer to clean their hands or disinfectants to clean the surface area where they have come in contact. So, even also while drawing the samples, say that there is an infectious disease having patients has arrived to the hospital and doctors have diagnosed it and said that he or she is having an infectious disease, and now the nurse has to draw a blood sample or body fluid sample for later diagnosis part. The nurse should keep herself vigilant to understand that how she should collect the sample in a sterile environment and also keep the object which are used in this collection of body fluids in a sterile condition. So, she will actually sterilize the area from where she is collecting the blood sample or any other body fluid, and then she will draw the blood and without having any contamination, she should transport this particular sample to the lab. So, transportation media which is used in transporting this blood sample or body fluid sample to the media and also for the later diagnosis. All these steps should be taken under sterile condition. Nurse should understand how to maintain the sterile condition during the entire process, and also cleaning the surfaces where the infectious patients had been brought and the samples have been collected, and also sterilizing all the objects related to this particular patients. Nurses should be vigilant not to self-transmit this disease and also to transmit this disease to the other people. Nurses apply the knowledge of microbiology of spreading awareness regarding the vaccines. We know that we have seen a COVID situation recently and people were not aware about the vaccination, they were not ready to take the vaccination, but nurses play an important role in bringing awareness to the people to take vaccine, especially in the area of communicable diseases. These diseases are infectious. They can be contagious from one person to the another person. They can spread so rapidly. So, nurses play an important role in making patient understand that how immunization or vaccination is very important, and also to understand the sterilization techniques which are helpful for sterilizing the medical devices which are used in dealing the diseased patients. So, the sterilization techniques like hot air oven or autoclaving or using even steaming or boiling or incineration, which are the basic sterilization procedures which help in sterilizing many medical devices. For example, I will tell you, a thermometer is an example of a medical device which is used by nurses. So once the nurse use a thermometer with one diseased patient, she has to sterilize that particular thermometer before she uses with the other patient. Okay, for this nurse should take all the precautionary measures. The last and important point is nurses play important role in bringing awareness to the patient and also to the other people, teaching them about the communicable disease or highly contagious diseases. We have seen this with the COVID. Nurses has played the very important role in this pandemic, and all this happened because they have a basic knowledge and advanced knowledge about microbiology in their area. So this is the relevance or importance of microbiology to nursing.